This is the Run Recap.
Dude, did you listen to... It sounds like you have a lot of feedback on my conversation with Tim last week.
Well, and I don't know, maybe I probably should have listened to it more refreshing to
Yeah.
to what
We
we were,
don't
yeah,
we don't
because
need to
like
talk about it. I was just curious.
'cause it was like 4 days ago. I don't think that I have feedback per se.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make a response recording though.
Of course.
So that's gonna be necessary because you guys got talking a little bit. We're gonna have to answer that.
I don't think we pushed that hard
No, not even slightly.
into
No,
anything.
it would
But
just
it
be
was
hilarious to create a controversy that's not there.
yeah. But it's funny because I did actually want to talk to you kind of about what him and I talked about because it was such an interesting perspective from a non-athlete of
Right.
like really getting into the pain of it and
Uh-huh.
embracing it and then willing your body to work around it was like I don't I said it a few times but I don't think I could really say it enough of like that's really remarkable for somebody who doesn't have experience with athletics.
Well, and what our podcast, when you and I just do it, what we do, we have a huge blind spot here
Yeah.
that we've been doing these things our whole life. And so, and actually me more so than you. So I have a huge blind spot of this is just what I do because I've been literally just actual distance running my
Right.
whole life. So it's
Yeah.
like, no, the pain in that is just what I do. So there is a blind spot there. I can't relate to newer runners because I was a small child when I was a newer runner.
Yeah.
So I don't have that, and I don't have that connection to that, and that's just reasonable. And then for you, again, you've been an athlete your whole life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So as much as the distance running kind of came a little bit later in your life, but not a lot later. You were still
I
in
would
junior
say
high running a couple miles.
yeah, I would say in and out. It's come in and out of my
Yeah.
life.
So, but it's still different than someone that, well, for anyone that gets into this in their 30s, especially.
Hmm.
Or when I talk to Nikki, she's got a vastly different experience than you and I.
Yeah, that's true.
And man, she and I had an interesting conversation. Well, kind of half a conversation. So we do the Marco Polo thing. So,
Right.
so I get a whole, and I haven't really been had a chance to respond to her yet. But she brought up the other day of, because she's 47, so
Hmm.
she's got 50 coming up, and she's feeling like with the amount of effort she's wants to put in for the amount of her life that she wants to add to this part of her life, she's at about the amount she wants to do. She runs 4 times a week, which is a really good healthy amount.
Yeah.
And she used to, when she was getting into running newer a few years back, she had these goals of like, I want to qualify for Boston when I'm 50 because that would be a
Oh
4 hour
wow.
that'd be a 4 hour marathon. I
Yeah.
think I can do it. And like, yeah, she definitely could. Of course, the effort to put into a Boston qualifying time for whatever age you are is serious amount of effort. Full
Really.
marathon training is huge. Well, yeah. So for me, it would be a 3 hour. So a 3 hour marathon, and that's going to be a full year of training at really high mileage to get
Yeah.
those kinds of speeds for that much distance. That's going to have to become a
Yeah.
significant part of my life. And so now she's looking at that like, I don't think I want to actually do that because what that really practically looks like. It's a fun
Hmm.
goal to say, different when you're looking at the practicality of it. And
Right.
then, so she's facing what I think you and I have been dealing with now for like 20 years. So she's facing, have I peaked? Is if for
Yeah.
this to be at my life right here where I don't want to devote more time to this, I think I have a healthy amount. And I
Yeah.
want these other places in my life to still stay healthy too. So have I already peaked? Am I never going to actually get better? Where she got to experience those PRs over and over and over again as
Hmm.
later runners really experience that, where you get that over and over and over again, these PR after PR, and that's exciting. You get that. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'll never be that fast again. And
Yeah.
you and I, again, we've been in love for 20 years. I will never be as fast as I was in high school. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't think this body, maybe it could, but the type of training, the amount of training it would take for this body to do what it did in high school, it's possible, but
Yeah.
it'd be pretty
Well,
crazy. Well, what about for you? Like, do you think, I mean, I think you experienced that.
yeah. When I've said it before. I think I might even said it last episode. Where like I don't whether I am capable or not is almost beside the point. It's a lot more
Right.
about, do I care to work that hard? It's so
Mhm.
much work, and like,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I did certain things and accomplished certain things that I took that kind of work, but I just don't have that desire right now. Like, I want to stay in shape and feel good and feel fast. Whether I'm
Right.
fast or not is kind of beside the point. I want to feel fast. I want to feel quick. I want to feel confident in my runs and that kind of thing in my workouts. But man, I don't. Yeah, I don't care to push to that degree like I used to. Um,
Nope. I lost you.
oh,
There you
hold
are.
on.
Okay, you're back.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care to push to that degree like I used to. You know,
Well,
it
and
just.
if you did, you'd probably have to push to a harder degree than
Mm-hmm.
you did back then to achieve the same thing. And
Yeah, you're
again,
right.
I think with how consistent you are with working out, I think a lot of that could happen. I'll bet the all out speed probably can't get there anymore. Well, what do you think about
Probably
that?
not.
Okay,
Well,
if you put everything at it and you want to try and be faster than you were in high school right
yeah.
now at your current age, do you think you could?
Well, that's kind of why I'm doing this 100-meter challenge, to see what my body can do. And I was supposed to do it last week. I was supposed to have a baseline last weekend, but just my day, I did not work out. I had to do a ton
Sure.
of different things, and so I wasn't able to go test it. So hopefully this weekend I can go get my baseline run, get my time, and see what I can do. So I still don't have a reference yet for where my starting point is, how much improvement I will need to make to beat high school times or anything like that. I don't know. I'm still young enough that I think there's a chance. I think there's a possibility that I could um,
Yeah,
compete with the times I did in high school, but I mean, time will tell. I'll have to actually try and see, you know?
for sure. Well, and I think it seems to me that the sprinting specifically is a young man's game.
Um, yes and no. You see, it is, but also you see, well, you all, I guess, young in perspective. You see professional sprinters in their 30s,
Okay,
not late 30s,
sure.
but
Right.
in their 30s. I mean, we're talking professional, right? So if you think about a professional sprinter, how fast they still are if they continue training when they're 40 is
Mhm.
probably exceptionally fast.
Right.
They're just not elite anymore. You know, they just
Right.
won't qualify for things, right? But it's still quick. Just like powerlifting, those guys are in their late 30s, 40s. You know, like that's not rare. You know,
Yeah.
it's not. I don't actually. I don't know that world enough to know if it's common, but it's definitely not rare. Like to
Sure.
that, because that muscle is definitely different. But distance run. What are ages of distance runners when they get? You know,
Well, you
when they're so
do see
competitive.
guys, yeah, you see professionals in their late 20s is really normal for longer.
Mm.
The longer distances, the older it is,
Yeah,
basically, is what you tend to see. So you do see late 20s for some of the fastest guys in the world. So you
gotcha.
do have that. And what it seems to be is, it kind of follows that the traditional thing of like, men peak at 26, right? Is
Right,
like the
right.
traditional thing. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say that. But the what the graph of it shows is, especially in longer and longer distances, that yeah, you might peak at 26 to 30, somewhere in there, but and it goes up quickly as far as what you can do. But the drop off from there, if you're doing more like the 10K plus,
Mm-hmm.
so not super super fast, but 10K
Yeah.
plus, the drop off from that is really really slow until you hit around 65.
Oh, interesting.
So you have guys, if you're really training hard, you got guys in their 50s and 60s that aren't really much slower
Yeah.
than guys in their 30s. It's not much different.
You know, it's so interesting because I don't know the research on this well enough, but you know, you have the natural fall off of muscle mass as you get older. Like that's a pretty commonly known thing. You know, when you reach a certain age, the age is around 50, you start losing muscle unless you're aggressive about keeping it.
Hmm.
Um, but there's obviously exceptions to that, and you can work around it, and you can still contain up to a certain point. Um, but distance runners, you don't need as much muscle to maintain your distance running, so it makes sense that you can keep doing it longer. It's just the max power, the the quantity of muscle you're gonna lose as you go. But yeah, it makes total sense that a distance runner could be going high level into their late 50s, maybe early 60s, because you just don't need as much.
Yeah, if you're talking total muscle mass, I mean, even me right now,
Yeah.
my total muscle mass right now is not very much.
Yeah.
I'm pretty light. And so as you start to lose muscle mass, yeah, it doesn't really hurt anything. It doesn't make
Right.
much difference.
Right.
So, yeah, I would think that that's probably a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And why
Absolutely.
guys, again, as they get older, go to longer and longer and longer distances. We lose our speed,
Yeah.
but like the stamina's still there.
Yeah. Let's
You
just
can
keep
still
going then.
Yeah, you can still go all day long. I guess that's what I feel right now is like, okay, for a 10K to half marathon, I'm still
Mm-hmm.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I'm not competitive in like my 1 mile time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hit mid fours again.
Yeah.
Like that's not. I can't run 100 meters at that pace at
Well,
all.
and that's the hard part for me is like I get that that's the kind of progression that it can go and probably will go. I just don't want to run that far.
Right. Well, and maybe it's not as much of a losing muscle mass thing, but maybe we
Mm-hmm.
change what we're doing. Right?
Mm.
So, could you actually still be that fast if you still worked on that?
Yeah.
Or is it more that just culturally there's not really an avenue to work towards that? You don't have a sprinting club you can join where you got people you can.
Make a sprinting club, you know.
Right. Like if you went out and did sprint workouts with people, so you got to be competitive and you were
Yeah.
lifting in that kind of way, which you're in the vicinity of lifting that kind of way. And
Yeah.
so it probably wouldn't take much tweaking to really get that back again. And you have
Mm-hmm.
people like that. But the rest of it, everything is around like, well, if I want to go run with people that want to run, 10, 20 miles or more, I can find people like that every weekend.
Yeah.
And you can go out and still
Well,
be competitive.
yeah, and that makes sense because it's not that hard.
Yeah,
No,
it's
but
pretty
like,
easy. You just go out.
but kind of seriously. Like, I'm joking, but also not because to run that far, you don't have to be fast. So it's just
No,
a
and you can do
time
it
thing.
a ton of different ways, right? And I mean,
Exactly.
I think that's also the inclusivity of running long distances
For sure.
is, people get that of like, oh, I want to accomplish a half marathon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Real honestly, anyone can accomplish a half marathon,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And you could decide how hard it's going to be. And, it doesn't mean it's easy,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
still,
Right.
going 13 and a half miles. Well, geez, the hardest half marathon I've done was at the end of the year last year because I went slower on purpose because I'm like, well, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
in shape to push this thing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it was just running for 2 hours was like, I was hitting a wall hard because I don't run for 2 hours, So it's
Yeah.
hitting like
Exactly.
that 145 mark, which is like, usually I'm done. And now it's like,
Yeah.
I got to make it 15 more minutes. I'm like, I might not. I might not
Right.
make it
Right.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what speed you're at. Running for 2 hours is hard.
Yeah, it is. No, the time of pounding the pavement or ground or whatever you're running.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. We're in a second ago we were talking about like Nikki and the experience of the hard work, right, and what it takes to get to something.
Hmm.
And I was running with a client today, like literally an hour ago, and his goal has been a 5K, and I'm like, dude, you can run a 5K. And so usually we just we train in the gym, but I'm like, I
Right.
scheduled it. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go for a run because I know you can run a 5K. And we went out and did it, and he hasn't been running like he was supposed to as
Hmm.
consistently, right?
Sure.
So I knew it's gonna be hard, but
Which is the way life works, right?
way life works. But we did it. There was not intending to go fast. Like we're gonna go out half a mile or a mile and a half, come back, and your goal is just to not stop. That's it.
Hmm.
Like I don't no matter how fast we go. I had to control his pace in the beginning because he was going a little bit too quick, and change a couple things. But he did it. He did great and finished. But it took constant coaching of you can do this the whole time
Yeah.
because he got to an uncomfortable level of breath and heart rate that he just never gets to.
Right.
Even no matter how hard he works in the gym, it's a different type. It's like, okay, my heart rate has been at 185 for the past 10 minutes,
Sure.
and it's going to continue to be at 185 until we're done, right? And that's just a different level of hard. And so I was telling him afterwards, I'm like, that was that was a PR for you. You've never done that distance without stopping, and so that was a record. And that sensation you're feeling is what it takes to progress. Not every run is going to feel like that type of hard work, but some will. Like that.
Right.
and you don't know what that feels like yet. And so you're learning that your body is capable of doing that and putting in that kind of work that you didn't previously know it was capable of. And he's giving me not excuses, but rationale that is, kind of, what if I push too hard with my heart stops, that kind of thing. Like,
Right.
He's a little, he can be neurotic at times, and so I was trying to reassure him, like, you don't know how to push that hard yet.
Right.
To the point of collapse and medical problems, you don't know how to do that. Very
Well,
few
and
of us
do you and I even know? I mean, like, I know how to push to puking. I know how to push to fainting.
Yeah.
I don't think I know how to push to like heart not working anymore.
No, I don't know that I do.
I've
either,
never
but
been
I think
anywhere in that vicinity. I've blacked
very few
out,
people do.
but that's that's as far. And that's only happened like 3 times.
I've
So
never done that.
yeah, it was ego driven.
And it usually is, because there's never a reason why you need to do that.
It was cherry picker's trot. As usual, Vigo being extremely competitive and working really hard at a fun run. Like that is my what I do. No, that one was junior high, and Dad bet me a can of pop that I couldn't be under 30 minutes, and
Oh,
I
wow.
was under 30 minutes by a couple seconds, and it was, but I had
How
not been training. I think I was 14.
how far is Cherry Picker's Trot? I don't
4
remember.
miles.
Okay.
So 30 minutes is totally appropriate,
Yeah.
but it's a hard 4 miles.
The hills on Cherry Picker's Trot are very difficult, and especially
the finish.
ending with a hill.
It's the last mile is all uphill.
Right. Yeah.
So
I haven't done that
pretty
since I was 10, but it was brutal when I was 10.
Yeah. No, it is one of the hardest 4 miles. It makes Bloomsday feel easy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do remember that. I mean, because I've only ran that race one time, but I mean, when our grandparents lived up there, we would walk that route all the time, and
Right.
it's terrible. Man, and all that for a can of pop.
Yeah, well, it was for to tell Dad I did it, right?
Of
Like,
course it was, but like,
I got
but
to tell Dad I did it.
realistically, you did it for some soda.
Right. That was always the bet, though.
That's true. That was always the bet. Can
It's
you
always
do
the bet.
this for a can of soda? That's why I have a soda problem, I think.
Right. You and me both.
I know. My God. I mean, I'm good about it these days, but it still has that pull.
Right.
We've talked about this before. You know how when you cut something out and you come back to it, and it's like, oh, that tastes terrible. Like you mentioned Mountain Dew
Yeah.
a while back, and then when you came back to it, what did it feel like?
Came back. Oh, I'm hardly drinking any.
Oh no! But what was the taste like when you reintroduced it after that
Good.
month?
Just awful. Yeah.
Really?
Horrible. I can't drink Mountain Dew.
That's so funny.
No, that is the worst tasting thing I've ever had. And I lived on it for so long, like for like
Long time.
15, 20 years. I lived on it. And now
Yeah.
now I see it and it even looks disgusting. Like nothing about that. I had some in a fountain drink the other day snowboarding because it's hard to get water up there and I didn't want a beer. So I had
Yeah.
some the other day snowboarding and it tasted fine snowboarding because it was like I was super thirsty. I was just in that mode and so it was fine.
Yeah.
Every time I had it outside of that one time has been the grossest thing ever. And I don't even like Pepsi now. Like unless there's rum in it to kind of like adjust that sugary flavor a little bit, I can still
Yeah.
drink a rum and Coke. But Pepsi by itself does not taste good to me either. Like I have no desire for any of that now.
So I get that with certain things. So many things I've had that experience with, except for Pepsi. I leave it. I don't have it for years on end. I come back and it tastes amazing
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah, I don't.
so-
that doesn't work for me. That's
I
hilarious.
think we can say that's Dad's fault for
Yeah.
you know
Oh, absolutely.
bribing us with it constantly.
So a cool story to go along with what you were just doing is, so yesterday was Bennett's birthday, and
oh yes, I want to hear about this.
yeah, and it's also Run Club, and he got real excited, like, hey, we could go to Run Club, and he has got real excited about that. Like he really wants to go to Run Club. He had no understanding what Run Club was or anything like that, but he knows Mom and I go, and he gets to go. He wants to go. Like this is gonna be
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
And so I told him, like, okay, well, we're going to take off on the route and then we're just going to cut it short. And I thought, you know what? At 6 years old, we're probably going to, maybe we'll go around 3 blocks, something like that.
Right.
Right,
Barely.
not really. but and also really hard to help him pace. Like we're gonna go slow.
Of
You're gonna
course.
need to. It's
Yeah.
okay, buddy. You know. And we got him all outfitted. He was dressed like a runner and everything, and he was real
Was he
excited.
stoked on that?
Oh, so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, wait, this is what, wait, I wear shorts over these, and that's how. Yep, that's how we do it. You're gonna need to keep your legs warm, but you want to be able to move. So, anyway, so we took off with the group, and I was like, we're gonna take off with the group. We're gonna follow him for a bit, and the fun thing is about our club is we do have people ranging all the way to people that are running like sub 7 minutes, all the
Yeah.
way down to some people that walk the whole route. You know,
Yeah.
so we were not dead last,
Wow.
and that made him pretty excited that like we're
I bet.
going and like we're kind of in the group here. We're doing
Yeah.
this for real. And we're going along and we were about and he was like and we were just shy of 1 mile out and he was still
Okay.
doing just fine. I didn't think we'd run a mile
Wow.
total. We're
Right.
running out
Right.
and so I told him like, okay, on this route, like, hey, if we run around this park, we're gonna run 3 miles. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you wanna try? Like if this doesn't work, it's okay. But we can try if you want to. And he was just
Yeah.
feeling great. He's like, yeah, let's try. Then we got to around close to the 1.5 mile mark,
Hmm.
and you could tell he's getting tired. Feet are starting to drag a little bit, so
Yep.
he
Yep.
tripped up a couple times because it's hard to get your
Yeah.
feet up when you get real
Right.
tired.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
going on, but I'm listening to his breath, and he's fine. Like he is not
Yeah.
pushing. And so anyway, and then he'd speed up a little bit, and I was like, okay, well let's back way off here. He's like, I'm getting real tired. I'm like, yeah, well, we're going pretty quick, so let's back way
Hmm.
off, go real slow. And what we kept doing is we'd slow way down to
Yeah.
to probably run in like 15-minute miles somewhere in there. With his short legs, still is actually not a bad pace.
Right. Right.
So we'd slow down and wait for the burst of energy. So wait for
Yeah.
his breath to calm and all that stuff. And like he's like, okay, I got it again. Okay, let's go. And then we take off and decide how far that burst of energy goes. It's not a sprint. We just get up to like
Right.
a 10-minute mile pace.
Okay.
It's still a
Yeah.
good distance running pace for the size he is for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we go and I'd listen to his breathing. He'd start breathing pretty hard. I'm like, okay, you want to slow down and wait for that energy to come back again? He's like, and so he'd let me know when he needs to slow down, wait for
Yeah.
the energy to come back. We'd slow down, wait for it to build and build and build. And like, okay, now we go again. And but he did not stop running besides hitting the ground 3 times and skinning up his hands and his knees.
Oh
Like
no.
yeah, like he took a beating,
Yeah.
because that's yeah. As he got tired, he just it's easier to trip on stuff. So when he started, like I'd let him know, hey, there's a crack coming up. Get ready to jump over that crack.
Yeah.
So do that, and then we got around the park and we're heading back. And he's like, okay, I need a shortcut. Let's just head straight back. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so we're not going to do exactly the loop. We're gonna
Hmm.
cut this short and set. But we actually really already did it, so it didn't
Yeah.
matter. So we ended up cutting
That's
out
awesome.
1/10 of a mile is all we
Yeah.
actually did from the regular route, and yeah, and he did awesome. Like
That's
we
incredible.
yeah, we stopped about 3 blocks from the finish line is where we decided to stop and walk. And then and we walked 2 blocks. Then he's like, no, I want to still run that last block. So we did it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's exactly like what your client was experiencing, right? Of like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm experiencing this new sensation. Because, as a kid, he sprints, right? He'll
Yeah.
run with his friends and then stop and run with his friends and stop. And
Yeah.
obviously,
Right.
he's in great shape because he
Yeah.
ran for 40 minutes
That's
without
awesome.
stopping. Like, yeah, that was amazing. I couldn't believe he made it
Man.
that far.
Especially for 6 years old.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And he's still a little guy. Again, like the leg difference. I was just watching his stride versus mine, and like
Oh yeah.
to keep his stride at a comfortable distance stride, that was a very small stride for me, just because my legs are twice as big.
Yeah. It's like when you run with me.
My, yeah, yeah. In all seriousness, yes, yeah. Okay, I'm hitting twice as much as you are.
So how did he feel after?
Great,
Yeah.
just great. He was stoked. We got mini corn dogs, root beer.
That's
It
so
was just
awesome.
Awesome way to
man.
finish that. And they woke up this
And-
morning feeling great,
And that food probably tasted so good.
right? Yeah.
He's man, that's amazing.
And then he got the whole run club atmosphere too, because then he got to sit
Yeah.
with all the other runners and stuff, and sit and
Yeah.
have his corn dogs and root beer and hang out with
Wow.
everybody. And
I bet
yeah,
he felt so big.
yeah,
You
oh
know,
yeah,
like so
sure.
like such a mature kid, right?
Yep, yeah,
That's
exactly.
so cool.
So then
What
Thomas came on the run too.
Here we go.
Okay, there you are.
I get calls every now and then, and it pauses it. So
Ah, that's
what-
what's doing. Okay.
Um,
So Thomas came on the run too.
Thomas who?
Thomas Bouchard.
Bouchard?
I hadn't seen him in 10 years.
I haven't seen Thomas in not that long, but definitely a while.
Yeah. So anyway, so he came too
That's
and did a
awesome.
run. So he's talking about it afterwards. He's like, "Man, this running thing, it's not fun." I was like, "I never said it was. I don't tell anyone it's fun. You are right.
Yeah.
It is not fun. That is not why we're here. We're not here for fun."
No,
And the
definitely not.
camaraderie, the other people are fun. It's fun to see how hard you can push your body. That's fun.
Yeah.
The running itself, no, it's not fun. It hurts.
Is he gonna do it again?
He's not sure.
Yeah.
So I
What
think this
did he
lined
say?
up with a
Why?
scheduling thing for him.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, that makes sense.
well, and Kat
Um.
talked him into it.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That Cat.
Yeah.
Leave it to Cat. To she still hasn't got it that you don't tell people to run.
Right, yeah, you gotta tell people not to run. It's not,
Yeah.
no, you don't want to do this. It's good for you,
Don't
but
do
you don't
this.
want to do this. No one wants to do this.
It'll be incredible. It'll be amazing. Your life will change, but definitely don't do it.
Well, and Kat's been ridiculous lately. She's doing like 3-a-days all the time. So she's like yoga and lifting and running every single day.
Oh my gosh.
I might be exaggerating slightly, but not by much. Like she's working
Not
out a
much.
ton.
Yeah, that's too
Like, yeah.
much. Yeah, tell her to calm down. Tell me about your recent runner's high that you got.
Oh man, yeah, that was great. Yeah, I went out and let's see, what did I need to do that day? Well, so my training is all off. I think I talked about this in the last podcast where I
Hmm.
had like a month on, a month off, and now it's a month away from my race. And so like,
Yeah.
okay, I got to get on it. So I found a 4-week training plan. I'm just doing what I'm told.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I went out and I had to get in 10 miles. I haven't run 10 miles in a long time. I haven't run over 6 in a long time.
Yeah.
And even some of those 6-mile runs have been pretty rough lately. So
Hmm.
anyway, so I took my normal 6-mile route and I made it way longer, and which means I add way more before the hill, which usually is
Yeah.
not great. I've done this lots of
Right.
times before, but it does mean that that hill gets real hard because I hit the hill then at, let's see, I hit the hill this time at the 6.5-mile mark is when I hit the hard hill.
Oh.
So
Wait,
anyway,
6.5 miles in. That's when you go 5 mile.
yeah. And
Gross.
so it's an easy 6.5 mile where usually I hit it at 3 miles. Where like, okay, I'm just got warmed up. Now I
Yeah.
go hit this hill.
You just got
This one,
warmed up at 3 miles.
yeah,
I'm
you know how
I'm
it is.
finishing.
You're familiar. Yeah,
I
you
got it.
finish right when you get warmed up. That's what's happening.
Exactly.
Um, so anyways, yeah, so going along and feeling not great, but I'm moving along. It's fine, you know. And I kept trying to just keep I'm watching my breath and watching my heart rate and trying to keep that low. And I have noticed, yeah, so just a brief aside, when I ran with Bennett yesterday,
Yeah.
my heart rate averaged 154
Because you're
at
running slow, right?
13-minute miles.
It's got to be because you're running slow. That's so weird. I don't understand it at
It's
all.
because it's not as smooth or something. I don't know. Kat and
Something.
I have been debating this for a while.
Yeah.
We're not sure why this is. We're both trying to hit that 140 heart rate, and we don't know where
Yeah.
that is. So
Right.
but it seems to be for me. It seems to be around 830s. But if I go
Yeah.
slower than that, I get a higher heart rate. Somewhere in there, I can get 140. So anyway, so I did a 10-mile run and actually had lower heart rate than that.
Of course you did.
And so I was just watching my breath and just trying to stay relaxed and everything. But I kept looking at my watch. I'm like, I'm running like 745s, which
Yeah.
is kind of what my legs, if I'm going to relax and run, it's what my legs fall into. Right around
Hmm.
730, 745. It's where they run into.
Right.
But 2 months ago, that would have killed me in about 4 or 5 miles. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
ready
Yeah.
for that kind of speed yet. I just was out of shape for that. But
Right.
it was going right along. It was just working. So anyway, so yes, I'm going along and like, okay, I'm going too fast. It's probably gonna kill me. I'm gonna hit this hill and I have to
Hmm.
walk. Like this is
Yeah.
gonna be just stupid, you know? And so I'm going along, but then I get to the hill, I'm like, okay, well, I kind of don't want to do this. You know, where you're just having that feeling of like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
really feel like running this hill right now. But it
Yeah.
wasn't so bad that I had to stop because I've had those thoughts hit so hard to where I now don't care. And I don't care so
Yep.
hard. No, I'm gonna walk. I might even call someone to come get me. I don't
Yeah.
want to do this anymore. And
Yeah.
I
I
want to,
gotcha.
yeah. So that happens. But I wasn't really in that stage, just like, ah, man, I don't feel like it doing this. But just kept going along, like, okay, just put your head down, get the hill
Yeah.
done with. You're
Keep
fine.
going.
And you'll get over that. And when you get over the hill, push a little bit. Just
Yeah.
get that back. You know, the way you should run a hill is you come over the peak of the hill, you get a good 10, 15 hard steps in to get back into pace, then decide if you still can do it or not, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I did that, came over it, just get right back into pace and see if I can actually still do this pace or not.
Hmm.
So did that, shook it off. I was like, man, I'm feeling really good actually. Like
Yeah.
really, really good. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna stride out a little bit. So I stride out a little bit. Like, okay, that feels even better. I think I'm gonna go a little bit quicker. And I'm still my breath is calm.
Wait, you're
Like
going up the hill?
this is at the top. So
Oh, you're at. Oh, okay,
peaked to
okay.
the hill, dropped back into my pace, and just felt wonderful.
Yeah.
And my
Wow.
heart rate was lower, my breath was lower, and I went faster, and my heart rate and breath went even lower and went faster, and it
Mm-hmm.
kept doing that. Like the faster I went, the more calm everything got. I mean, to an extent, of course. You know,
Of course, of
I
course.
wasn't sprinting or anything, but ended the last 2 miles. Of course, there's some downhill in there. It's not the last 2 miles are not hard, but
Mm-hmm.
ended the last 2 miles at 7 minute flat, sub 7 minute,
Wow.
right in there, and just felt really, really good. And
Yeah.
like I had 3 more miles in me easily, you know, so could have been my half marathon just fine.
Yeah.
And finished out even with the hill, average just barely over 8 minutes,
Man.
and just felt wonderful. So I finished. I'm like, man, and I realized for me, I think that runner's high was just getting where I had that slight invincibility feel, you know, where you're going and you're
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
I don't have to stop. Nothing can stop me now. It doesn't matter how far I can go. I feel a little bit invincible, you know.
So you feel like the high hit during the run more or after the run? Because kind of the way
Oh,
you're describing it sounds like it hit during.
oh, totally daring. It was I
Yeah.
peaked the hill and was like, I just feel real good. I feel good. I feel happy. This is just
Wow.
amazing, you know. And then it
Yeah.
was just I'm just having fun cruising now, you know.
Yeah.
And
Oh
so, but
man,
it
I've
was
never
still
experienced
probably
it like that.
the endorphin hit probably was peaking the hill, right? That's where it
Yeah.
pushed, came over, and I think that's I got the endorphins from that because I fell into a relaxed fast pace, so I was still getting that
Yeah.
post run feel, and yeah, it just got good. It was so great,
Oh, that's so awesome.
and now it makes me
That's
want to go out. Like, oh, I want to go do it
of
again, you know?
and you want to do like you want to duplicate it, and so you want to do that run again, right?
No,
Because
all
you're
I
like,
want to do is run 10 miles every time.
yeah, because you're like, if I repeat that exact scenario, I'll feel that way,
Yeah, and it
right?
won't.
That's the logic. Nope,
Yeah.
it won't.
And that's why it's addictive, right? It's
Yeah,
because
that's
you
true.
don't know when it hits. That's why it's addictive. You know, if it was
Yeah,
just good all the time, every time, it wouldn't be addictive. You'd be like, oh, I want to feel that way. You just go out and feel that way. And then pretty
yeah,
soon you get bored of feeling that way. But
yeah,
it's the fact that it's pain 9 times out of 10, and that 10th is like, ooh, I got to have it, you know? That is
yeah.
exactly where that's where gambling addictions happens, where all addictions happen, is
It's
you're always chasing that, you know?
it's one out of I don't know, not even 10 for me, because I don't know the last time I actually experienced that type of a high. But I
You
get
know,
for people who run distance more consistently, I can get that's probably a little more consistent, or not
it's
consistent, but
I
more
don't think
frequently.
it is. It's not.
You know
I
what
can't
I'm saying?
remember my last one either. I say
Yeah.
1 in 10. I don't know if it
Mm.
actually is.
I'm like that sounds really frequent to me.
But yeah, I actually can't remember the last time it felt like that.
Yeah. The it was the feeling that I what keeps me coming back is just the feeling after a run, a hard run of like the physical exhaustion, and for some reason that just makes me feel good. It's like, oh, I worked hard. I can feel my heart. I can feel my lungs worked. I can feel my heart worked. I can feel my
hmm
legs worked, and that feels good. And that's like,
hmm
I don't know. That's a very satisfying feeling because it just that reinforces uh, that you're capable of doing something difficult.
Sure. Yeah,
You know, it's
absolutely.
like, oh, okay, good. I'm excited for the after again. I
Yeah, and
need,
the relief
you know,
from it is always
the
wonderful
relief from it
too.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been feeling
definitely.
this pain. I get the relief, and like you were saying with Bennett yesterday, like that root beer probably tasted better, you know?
Oh yeah, so
Like
good.
we run, it's a joke in Run Club of that I want to run hard enough to make the beer taste better,
Oh
you know?
yeah, of course,
So there's a
of
certain
course.
pace where it tastes way better at this
Yeah,
pace, you know? And
yeah,
so like, okay, I'm gonna take off. I want that to taste better today, you know?
yeah.
So there's definitely that.
Also, so I love how different runs, different intention give you such a different feeling, right? So I sent you that run I did the other day, and I haven't been running outside very consistently. I did last weekend. I did my long run loop that I haven't done in a while. my long run. I think it's 5 technically,
Okay.
but it feels really long to me. So you start from Ballard, and you have to go down to the Ballard Locks, and so you have to go kind of through this park and through where the boats come in and out of Seattle, and that slows you down a lot. And then you have to go up a series of a lot of hills to Discovery Park, and that just, if you were to drive there, it would be much longer. It'd be probably like 8 miles to get
Sure.
to where I'm going. But because I can go through all these walkable routes, I can
Sounds
get
like a
there.
really cool run, though.
It's really fun. And so here's
Yeah.
the clincher of it: is it's like 2.5 out, 2 to 2.5, and I go there because there's a set of stairs,
Mm-hmm.
and the stairs are not like what you traditionally think of like a stair set. It's a lot of groupings. So the flat of every set of stairs is no more than like 1 to 2 strides worth.
Sure. Yep.
And so it's like anywhere from 7 steps to 3, and then ending with 11.
Okay.
And it's just on and on and on. So you don't get quite the groove of like just pounding steps.
Right.
It's like 1 2 flat, 1 2 flat, 1 2 3 flat.
Yep.
You know, that type of a thing. And so we go. At least I've done this run over the years, tons of times, and we go, and then we repeat the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a run I've been wanting to do for a long time, and it was raining and warm enough, and so like, oh, I'm just gonna go hit that run, and it felt great. Like the run was difficult because I haven't done it in a long time and haven't been running consistently. Came back, and it just like felt good. Body was worked in a way I wasn't used to, but like fine, right? Normal
Sure.
run. Then later in the week, I did, because now I'm working on my speed, right? I'm working on my sprinting, even though I don't have my baseline 100 yet. And I went to do my normal 3-mile loop with my stair set by the
Yeah.
gym, and with the intention of I'm not working on my 3-mile time. I'm gonna do a hard first mile with not necessarily trying to like go for a specific time, but just like push my pace, right? Feel good, but push a little bit.
Sure.
Hit my stairs, and my stairs, I did 5 rounds of my stairs, and these are a different type of stair sets where it's a grouping of 4 sets of stairs with a very small landing on each one, like for 1 step, and
Right.
and it's about, I think, 20 steps on each one. And the intention of these ones was just speed and reaction time, right? So
Mhm.
100% effort of knee drive and arm work, right? Just
Mhm.
trying to go as fast as possible, slow walk down, and just repeating those. And then, and that type of exertion is just so much different than spending time running or
Oh yeah,
thinking
for sure.
length, right? Because it's all about it. I'm trying to get the reaction time down, so your nervous system is going to be challenged in a totally different way, which is where obviously the intention.
Mhm.
And so, but felt good. Like felt fast, felt really hard. My heart rate was peaking. I hit 7, just over 7, like 7:05 or something on my first mile.
Mhm.
Felt great. Spent a half a mile jogging, and then I'm like, I'm gonna push the last mile also, right? Just
Mhm.
try to push it hard. I don't know what I could get. Wasn't going for a time, but like really challenge myself. And it was like pulling teeth, trying not to stop.
Yeah.
Not just slow down. I wanted to stop. I'm like trying to justify in my head the whole time, like, okay, I don't need to do half a mile. It's fine. I can walk back. Like just all of those natural excuses that you always get. Just
Right.
Coming up, like you don't need to do this. The stairs were the main thing. You can stop. You can slow down. But just everything I could do, and I look at my time when I get back, and it's barely under 7. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like the first one felt so good, and coming back, I could barely keep up with it.
Well, especially throwing those stairs in the middle. That's gonna happen a lot, though.
Yeah, it's just it's such a different type of vibe when like the distance was less
Mhm.
and the run wasn't necessarily fast, but just throwing that different type of exertion, that speed work in the middle of it, just taxes everything. So then, just a normal run, like I couldn't even get to 6:30. You know, it was
Right.
just that much on you.
Having that though, man, that's what that part of the workout for people that love distance running.
Mhm.
That part that you do there is the thing that we often lack. Like it's
Yeah.
hard for me to go out and add that into my plan,
Yeah.
because I just don't like to do it. It doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
So like driving the knees, pumping the arms, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Jeez, I very rarely have that in my workout
Yeah.
at all. Like especially that because even on my speed days, I mean we're talking I get down to like a 6-minute pace.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
not driving knees and pumping arms, you know?
Yeah.
So even
Right.
when we do like my speed days are like when we do 800 repeats.
Yeah.
And so none of it has that amount of speed. And it would probably help a ton to fit that in at least every other week.
Yeah. I'm sure it would.
Hmm.
It's the stuff I do enjoy.
Right.
You know, like the time spent running and those distances are not what I enjoy. I really enjoy the quick, fast, the turnover.
If you
So
put
much
the
more
two of us together, we'd make one darn good runner.
fun. Exactly. And then yesterday, day before, I don't remember. I think it was yesterday. I went out and did 4 quarters,
Hmm.
and I'm just on the street here, so I'm not like my distance isn't exact. So I'm going off of my watch and then remembering where I left off, and calculating the
Sure.
whole time. And I was really surprised because I did 1 minute in between at 4 quarters, 1 minute rest in between, and I had no time intention. It was just go fast, right? Try to
Sure.
go quick, try to push myself hard, and I dropped 10 seconds on my last one.
Nice.
The one I thought I didn't think I was gonna even hit maintain my pace,
Right.
and because I was just dying, and I'm like, well, let's just finish. That was the only thing I was going through my head. Just finish this last one, and then I'm done. And I look at the times later, and it's like one. They were slow. It was like 1:38, 1:37, 1:39, and then
Mhm.
1:25. And I'm like, what the hell? That's so much quicker than when I was just trying to finish the thing, like not even
Right.
trying to go fast.
It just shows how much and we can, as good as you can get about pacing and like really be good at it and be in tune with what
Yeah,
you're doing. So much of that can still be overridden by emotions,
exactly.
right? Like if we even just had, really just feeling right on the right day
Hmm. Yeah.
can be a big difference between PRing or not. Like
Oh
had nothing to do
yeah.
with my fitness. It's just how I
No.
felt about maybe even just how I felt about myself that day.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all those things add into it.
Well, because
And
if you're not
then
feeling good about yourself, you're not going to be confident that you can get over the pain and the discomfort that needs to
yeah,
happen to run well.
and that pain and discomfort and everything, it can be fun to challenge it or it can be defeating to try and challenge it. Depending on
Yeah.
just where your head's at, right? Like I've had
Yeah.
both and there was no reason one day it went this way and the other day it went that way. Those two different runs were I had that I've had that several times where those two different runs were 3 days apart, which means my fitness was not different. There was nothing
Right.
there was
Nothing should have been
nothing
different.
physical difference between any of that stuff. It was simply how I felt that day.
There could have been some sleep and nutrition differences, which is going to affect your overall energy. But yeah, like training wise, nothing is different.
Right. And don't you think that you could probably overcome that with just the right mentality too? I mean, like
To a
one day of
point.
bad sleep, it's like, nah, you should be able to push through that anyway. Should be
Yeah.
tougher than that,
You
And it's
you
like, I'm
should.
not, but I should be.
Well, no, I think you should be able to a point though, but that stuff really takes. Well, let me put it this way: like if let's say you're feeling 100% fresh, you're feeling great, and you're trying to PR, and you have to dig deep to push past a certain amount of pain and discomfort to get to a point. If you're sleep deprived or have a different energy stores, then the amount you have to get over mentally is going to be a higher hurdle.
True. Yeah. You're adding more
So
things in your way.
it might not be dramatic necessarily, but it's going to feel dramatic,
Right.
right? Even though
Yeah.
your muscles can do the same, your lungs can do the same, but you're just a little bit more tired.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that's a very difficult one of knowing when to push and how hard it is to push. Like I was telling my client today, like this feeling of getting over pain and discomfort, every single person, runners and fitness people, we all go through that in learning how to push past that discomfort all the time. And depending upon the person, we often go through that lesson and relearn that multiple times throughout the year.
Yeah. And
You
throughout
know,
different stages of life too. Like it's
and different stages of life.
it's
Yeah.
a different type of lesson. I guess the type of pain and discomfort I'm trying to learn how to overcome right now is not the same as it
No.
was 30 years ago. It's a totally
Yeah.
different pain. That was I had pain and discomfort I was learning then and I know how to overcome that. I don't
Yeah.
face that very often anymore.
Right.
These days it's like, okay, I had a lot of stress today,
Yeah.
or I didn't sleep well, or, all these other things, or I'm just mentally just drained, or
Right.
physically, I haven't done anything all day long, but I'm not going to perform well today because I have these other things to overcome, which
Yeah.
was not what I was experiencing at 14, 15 years old. And
Right.
and
Right.
not what I was experiencing really at 30 years old, like it's those things adjust. And I guess that's probably the beautiful thing about all of it is it transitions with you through life. And it's like
Hmm.
just like everything else in life where it's like, oh, these are different obstacles, these other obstacles that I was learning to overcome when I was younger. I learned to overcome them, and I've got that. And
Yeah.
then now I've got different obstacles. Now it doesn't mean that didn't help me. Those obstacles before though aren't even obstacles anymore because I'm
Right.
so good at overcoming those. I overcame those 30 years ago. So now when those pop up, I don't even notice. You hop right over them. They're short
Yeah.
hurdles,
Yeah.
right? You don't even notice they're there. And the ones I face now, it's like, well, they're new obstacles. There's new strategies for that stuff, and I'm relearning that, which is just like a beautiful picture for the rest of our life, right? Because everything
Yeah.
else in our life works exactly that way. And
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
very
maybe
true.
that's why this, well, geez, it seems like it runs into why um, endurance, or really distance running itself is such a human experience, right?
Hmm.
Like it just fits what we're doing in life all the time. It's a reflection of real life.
Yeah.
And it's constantly adjusting and evolving, even though it's the same darn thing every single time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
technically
Yeah.
speaking, I'm just moving for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever, right? That's all I'm just doing,
Yeah.
which I've done thousands of times. And yet it's always different, just like life. Just like I went to work today. Today at work, it was different, you
Yeah.
know? And
Right. Right.
and yesterday at work, it was different. And I think that it ends up being that a representation of things that we actually deal with all the time.
Yeah. In addition to that very philosophical outlook that you just described, which is way more, I think, elegant than most of us ever think about it. But of course,
Well,
we
I
would
didn't
think
I
about
didn't
it
mean
that
I
way.
didn't mean to go there. That was not on purpose.
I also think it's when you're younger, your reason is different
Hmm.
because your reason is you don't have that much going on in your life, and so you put so much into that and your performance in the thing. So I want to
Sure.
do well because my at least a portion. In your case, all of your identity. In a lot of people's case, at least a portion of your identity is in this run and this
Yeah.
push, and so that's a big enough reason to push through that pain or work through it. And then when you're an adult, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You
Right?
know, like your life doesn't depend on how well you do in this race.
Yeah. I have all kinds of other things that I mean really honestly, I enjoy doing well in a race. It has
Yeah,
nothing to do with who I am.
exactly.
You know,
Well, which is
it was
hey,
just
and
it was just a fun thing to do.
that's progress for you too.
Right? But it's like there is no, I mean there's the fun amount of ego with it, right?
Yeah,
Of
of
just
course.
like racing people is fun. There is
Right.
ego in that, right? But it has no effect on how I feel about me
Yeah.
the next day. Whatever, like we talked about like last year. Like I was running a
Yeah.
race and like I thought I'd do a lot better. I didn't do as well. That course was way harder than I planned, and a lot of other people were trained better for how that course was.
Yeah.
I thought I'd make top three pretty easy. That's a race that I've gotten second in before. Different course. I came in sixth. Hey, that's what I had that day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
And the skinny little 12-year-old beat me, you know? That doesn't hurt my ego at all. It's like, oh, good
Yeah.
on you, buddy. That's awesome that you got that
Yeah.
and I didn't get that. Whatever. I thought I could do better. This just
Yeah.
shows I couldn't. That's
Right.
it. Whatever.
Yeah. And so I think that's what makes pushing through that pain and discomfort as an adult so much harder because you don't have to.
Yeah.
There's no ego attached to it usually, for most people.
Well, and there might be a little bit of reverse ego because I'm like, I could probably beat that kid, but I also might faint at the top of this hill, and that's going to be real embarrassing. I'd rather lose to this kid than pass out at the top of the hill and need medical attention. So maybe
That's
it is
fair.
all ego when it comes around
That's
to it, right?
maybe it is. Maybe you might have a point.
Like, I'm just going to take the sixth place and like not be embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Hey, I gotta wrap it up here. I gotta go.
Sounds good, man.
But yeah. What do your runs look like next week? What's your anything
Oh,
new?
so
Or
so
no? When's your race?
the race is on the 14th, so I have 2 weeks. So
2 weeks.
next week
Okay.
is still a pushing week, and then it'll be a relaxing week going into the race. And
Okay.
so,
And that's the
um,
silver, the one at Kellogg.
No, that's the next one after that.
Oh,
So
that's
this
a
is
half.
so there's the half, and then the one at Silver is the week after that. So I'm gonna do basically 2 weeks of tapering is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go.
What do you feel about the half? You feel good about it so far?
Oh yeah, that 10 mile gave me all the confidence in the world. So
Awesome.
yeah, in all seriousness, like
Yeah.
okay, so if I just stay with my current training plan where I can tear down a little bit for another week, and so I'm gonna
Yeah.
do. The end of this week into next week, I'm still going to push pretty hard, but I'm not going to like try and destroy myself at all or anything.
Mhm.
Just go and get my speed back, still actually work on things.
Yeah.
The week right before the race will be pretty much just pacing runs, mellow runs, just keep that speed up, keep the legs just used to what they're doing, but not
Yeah.
try and actually improve on anything anywhere. Keep it mellow. And
Yeah.
then basically I'll be doing like some race pace runs at really short distances.
Cool.
So, which will be real easy then. Then I got the race, and then the following week I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Is I'm just gonna
Mhm.
just keep at it. It's just so I can maintain where I was already at, but that's it. But not try and push anything. And
Yeah.
then hopefully do well at Leadman. I should probably ride a bike sometime.
That's right.
I haven't ridden
That's
a
kind of
bike.
a part of it.
I haven't ridden a bike at all since. Jeez, I think I
Did you
rode
do
a
it
bike.
last year.
No, I rode a bike briefly in St. George. There we go.
Okay.
That's the last time I rode a bike.
There we go.
So I should probably just like get my legs used to spinning, maybe used to
It'd
sitting
be-
on a bike seat would probably be helpful.
It would be helpful for sure.
There's no fitness I can do now. I'm 2 weeks out. There's
Yeah.
nothing I can do about the
No.
fitness for that. I am in the shape I'm in. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we'll see how it goes.
Oh,
But
that's gonna be hilarious.
yeah, I think I'll still do well. But I met a guy at
Yeah.
the top of the mountain that put some pressure on for that the other day.
Oh, really?
Jason and I hiked up at the top of Mount Spokane, like to the actual peak, and we were just
Yeah.
like hanging out there. And another guy hiked up, and he's like, "Hey, you guys getting ready for Leadman?" I was like, "Oh, that's kind of
Uh-oh.
funny." I was like, "Yeah." I mean, he had just skinned up the mountain.
Oh
And
wow.
I was like, "Yep, yeah, we're getting ready for that." He's like, "Yep, me too." He's like, "I'm 55 years old. I've made it in the top 3 the past like 4 years in a row."
Oh my
I
god.
was like, "Okay, well, I'll see you out there, buddy. I'm gonna try and beat you."
Wow, that's impressive.
Right? Yep. So he's training hard for it. We'll see what'll happen.
Your pressure is definitely on.
Yeah, now it's on. Now it's like, okay, now I got ego in the way.
That's awesome.
And if I don't win this one, I'm gonna spend the whole rest of the year getting ready for next
yes.
year.
Yeah, exactly.
I really won't. I don't
No,
care
you won't.
enough. I don't
You
really
won't.
care enough. But I want to act like I care enough, and I'm
There's
gonna
too
pretend
much
I
fun
do.
stuff to do during the year to focus on
Exactly
that.
right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna talk like I care that much.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, get in his head, right?
Absolutely. Get in my own head, if nothing else.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, I'll see you next time.
All right, sounds good. See ya.
Later.